Yeah, yeah, okay. So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Another interesting session on cybersecurity. Today, it's going to be on ransomware, the shift to double and triple extortion tactics. It's going to be a very, very interesting session. So please hang on. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so from today's session, this is what you will be getting. The insights into high-profile ransomware cases like Colonial Pipeline, how double and triple extortion tactics work, essential steps for protecting your data through backups and encryption, what to do in the event of an attack, and how to minimize the damage. Okay, next one. Okay, now about get set up for the new people. As you all know, we are on a mission to help people above 55, over the age of 55, to learn new skills, make new friends, and also have nice experiences. Our goal is to reduce isolation, loneliness, and also to equip you with tools and knowledge to age gracefully. Our community engages in classes online as well as offline. We also travel together on long trips as well as short day trips. Yeah. Now about the speaker profile. His name is Mr. Shankar Jayaraman. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at Akasa Air, and he has over 30 years of industry experience. 20 years of it is dedicated to cybersecurity, research, and development. He has an extensive background with leading companies such as McAfee, Symantec, VMware, and so forth. He also holds multiple cybersecurity US patents. He's a former director and of research and development at Sophos for almost 5.5 years. He's managed engineering teams in India, Hungary, and the UK, overseen big data and development ops platform for Sophos next generation cloud threat analysis service. He's also responsible for developing and maintaining Sophos security signature release platforms. Now, I know that's a little too heavy, but never mind. He's going to explain it to us in a language that we can understand. So as he's talking, if you have any questions, please put it on the chat. We will stop and take the questions either in the middle when there is a gap or towards the end. Mr. Shankar, handing it over to you.
Thank you, Rita. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I have a pretty bad throat.
You're absolutely fine.
Okay. Please raise your hand if it is not clear, in case I may have to cough in between few times. So sorry about that. Again, thanks everyone, and thanks for your time and good evening. Thanks for this opportunity. So ransomware, what we are going to talk about it today. I mean, I want to just keep it simple. Don't want to complicate, because we get into the technical details, it can be a little complicated. So we are going to talk about the types of ransomware, how it works, what it means to consumer, because ransomware always people are thinking that it is predominantly targeting businesses, which is true. I mean it is predominantly targeting businesses, but that doesn't mean that it is targeting businesses only, right? It also targets consumers. So we'll talk about that and what we can do about it. What precaution we can take. If something happens, what we can do, how we can prevent it, if at all possible, right? So those are the things we are going to talk about. So can you move to the next slide? Yeah. Okay. So ransomware, as the name suggests, right? I mean, it is a malicious software that encrypts victim data or locks them out of the system, and demanding a ransom payment to restore the access. Right? It's very, very simple, right? So normal malware, what happens is it does something malicious in the system, and and then you need to recover it either using some security experts, or using antivirus if possible to recover, right? Or recover from the backup. Very similar, but what it does is it encrypts, and then the hacker, what he does is he will keep the encryption key with him, right? And then to unlock it or to decrypt it, he will demand a ransom amount, right? Once you pay it, it is up to him whether he wants to give the decryption key or not. But that's how it works, right? So infection is basically nothing but it infiltrates the systems through the phishing mails, any malicious attachments, or any exploiting the vulnerabilities, right? So once it is, that's how it comes in, right? So once it is inside, what it does is, as I said, it encrypts the file, making them inaccessible to the user. And then, once it happens, the attacker demands a payment. It often, he demands a payment in the cryptocurrency in the exchange for the decryption key. Good so far? Okay, move to the next slide. Okay, so this is some stats. Ransomware hackers, generated about 1.1 billion ransomware payments. I mean, these are the known ones. Also note that there may be some unknowns which are not reported as well. It is quite possible that people don't report it unless the amount is pretty big and it is very visible, and there is a regulatory requirement to report it. Sometimes people may not even report it, but these are the known figure, right? People who have reported it, 1.1 billion in last year alone, in 2023 alone, which just shows the significance of this attack. Just purely, it's a financial gain, right? So we were also, Anita was also mentioning about double and triple extortion. What is that? What does it mean, right? How does it happen, right? So double extortion involves two layers of threat. So what happens is, so the data encryption happens. That is, attacker encrypts the victim's data and they demands a ransom for the decryption key. This is one level. Apart from that, in addition to the encrypting the data, attacker also steals the sensitive information and threatens to release it publicly if the ransom is not paid. Right? So that is a double extortion. One is locks it, and then ask for ransom to unlock it. Second thing is, he also says that, okay, if you are not doing it, no, this is a cost for providing the decryption key. And I already have the data with me and I know what the data is, right? So as a second part, you also need to pay so much, otherwise that whatever the data I have, I will expose it to the public. Okay. So this adds a pressure on the victim by, typically for the businesses, right? For leveraging the fear of reputational damage, any legal consequences and things like that, right? And what is triple extortion, right? So these are two levels we have seen. The one is the encryption of the data, and then threat of exposure of the data that he has taken, right? And the triple extortion is adding third layer to the attack, right? Again, same, data encryption that we discussed, data theft and the threat of exposure that we discussed. In addition to that, at the third level, attacker can also introduce, like, he can say that, now I know the network, I have reasonably understanding of your network, I will launch the DDoS attack to disturb the operations, right? Or I know your third parties like customers, partners, or suppliers, right? So they will, he can say that, I will attack them, and unless you pay the ransom, because I have all this information, whatever the information he has taken. If he has taken any relevant information, let's say customers' information, right? So he can threaten that way also. So that is one level above of all that. So which is a third level of, extortion. Does it make sense so far? Any questions?
Yeah, there is one question. What is an encryption key?
Okay, I will come to that. I'll come to that. I'll
Okay.
talk about.
And then are these worldwide figures?
Please.
Anybody else has any questions? You can please unmute and ask. Anyone? Okay, you can continue, Mr. Shankar.
Okay, fine. Okay, so this one, the slide, what you are seeing is, the impacted sectors, it has not spared any sectors, pretty much covering all the sectors, right? Manufacturing, you can see manufacturing and services sectors are worst affected. But other than that, pretty much every sector is impacted by this one from the business perspective. Go to next one. Okay, so these are some popular ransomware names, which is currently being quite popular, right? I mean, just for information, I think much you can do hold it just for you to, understand the names of the ransomware. Next one. Okay, so this is important, right? So, ransomware, it is quite natural for everyone to think ransomwares were targeting only businesses. Yes, it is certainly largely targeting only business. I mean, not only, largely targeting businesses, but it also targets consumers like you and me as an individual. Also, increasing given we all keep things digitally now, bank accounts and so on and so forth, photos and so on, right? And they were easier targets compared to organization most of the time, right? One is it's a lack of security awareness in general. Many customers were not aware of cybersecurity threat and the best practices. It is making them more vulnerable. Second is the data value, like photos, documents, any financial information is valuable for individuals. It is making them more likely to pay, right? And those security measures will be much weaker. We have antivirus. That's pretty much it. And that also, some people will have some free antivirus. It's just easy for people. People to get in and encrypt it, right? So that's another one. And then, of course, the other thing is the volume of target, right? It is just a whole large pool of potential victims that attackers can exploit, right? If he throws, 10,000, probably he will get at least, 1% also. It is a big number for him. Right? So consumer is rising. That is what it shows. As per the recent, you can see the date, 17th September 2024. The ransomware targets are increasing over the consumers. Okay, we'll move to next one. Next slide. Okay, so this is the first ransomware. It is discovered in 1989. It is called AIDS. This is how it was when it was infected, right? This is how the screen was when it was infected. Right? So just more of a information. That's about it. Go to next slide. Okay, so there are three types of ransom. We'll talk about each one of them. One is encryption. Other one is lock screen. Other one is MBR, which is master boot record ransomware. Go to next slide. Okay, so to keep it simple, this is how it works, right? What is encryption, right? Encryption is nothing but, when you have something in clear text, right? You have a document, you can open it and you can see the document. You can view the content of the document, right? So what happens is, when you don't want the document to be seen by anyone, right? What you do is you have something called an encryption key, right? There is a software which is available. You can encrypt the document, right? So when you open it, you can't see anything, right? Or you can see, we call it as ciphertext, which is basically the clear text will be converted to ciphertext. Ciphertext is nothing but it's a garbage of characters, right? You can say that it is a garbage of characters or symbols or something like that, which is purely encrypted and you can't make out anything from it, right? So you can view the document, the actual content of the document, only if you decrypt it. Decrypt means it will bring it back to the original form, right? Clear text, encrypt it, make it as a ciphertext, and then decrypt, bring it back to the original clear text. This is what is a encryption mechanism. Is it reasonably clear? To keep it very simple at high level. There are multiple levels of encryption and all that, but let's not get in there, just to keep it very simple. Any questions on this? Since someone asked about encryption.
No, understood, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, go to next slide. Okay, so this one, as you can see, right? Typical consumer ransomware asking $50 to decrypt your personal files, right? Business decryption goes in thousands of dollars, sometimes millions, depending on the nature of the files encrypted, right? But if it is a consumer-oriented encryption, right, like personal files and photos and any financial information and so on and so forth, if it is encrypted, obviously it doesn't make sense for the hackers to ask for thousands of dollars. No one will pay. They will go for like $100, $50, $100, depending on the amount is something he will fix it. But it will not be a huge amount. It will be a smaller amount. But he looks at volume, right? That's how he makes money, right? So this is a typical one of the case where it is asking for. You can see here file decryption cost is $50. Go to next one. Okay, so that is what is an example of an encryption, what you have seen earlier. That is an encryption ransomware. Right? So the next one is a lock screen ransomware. So what does it mean? Lock screen ransomware is, it will basically lock your computer and you need a key to unlock it. Right? And you normally, when you go, there is a screensaver which locks your screen, right? And then you need your password to unlock your computer, right? Typical is something very similar. What ransomware does it just locks it, and you don't know the password, right? And you need to depend on the hacker to, get the key from him, and then unlock it. Otherwise, your system will be locked, and screens will be locked, and you can't do anything in the system. That is a lock screen ransomware. So MPR is the other one. Go to next one. Next slide. This is a MPR, right? MPR is master boot record. So what it does is the entire hard disk of your computer will be encrypted, right? It is not just few files or few folders. The entire hard disk will be encrypted and you can't even bring up your computer, right? Because everything is encrypted. And it will ask something like this. You can see here, right? It is in the prompt. It will ask for the enter password. Right? If you don't have password, the computer won't even move forward. Okay. Any questions before we move further? Okay. Go to the next slide. So this one, okay, so this is how the ransom message is. So once the ransom is paid, if you are lucky, they will send a decryption package that you can download. And this is a sample message. This is how it will be displayed. But general recommendation, guidance from the government and law agencies and regulatories is don't pay the ransom, right? You prepare yourself. I mean, ideally, you need to discourage them, right? So the thing is, we have to discourage them as much as possible so that, at some point, this will stop, right? The moment everyone start paying ransom, obviously, the business will only grow for them, and then they will continue to make it bigger and bigger so that they can make more money. The general guidance is don't pay ransom, be prepared, and take the mitigation steps to avoid paying ransom and to recover the files from your side. So that is a general, but this is how it works. I mean, worst case, nothing you can do about it. Then you pay ransom, and again, it is up to the hacker whether to give him the decryption key. Mostly they will give. It is not that they will not give, but sometimes who knows, right? It is their choice, right? Once you get the money, it is their decision whether to give the decryption key or decryption package or not, right? Or they can ask for more money, right? Okay, so I got $100. Okay, now I need another $100 to provide a decryption package. You can say they can say that as well. Okay. Move to next slide. Okay, so friends, right? How it all started, where it is now. Right? So ransomware attacks have surged with the changing trends, right? So currently, what is running is ransomware as a service, right? Where criminals can rent a ransomware tools to carry out attacks, right? They don't have to buy. They don't have to build anything new from that side. Just rent for a week or month, try it out without spending much money. The rent will cost very nominal. And then you use the ransomware to, to infect people, whoever the targets are, and then see whether you can extract money from them, right? So it's a pay-as-you-go model, right? Like typically we use in all our email service or anything, that a typical software as a service model that we have been using for in the internet or surface net, right? So same model, it is for ransomware as a service. So that is a current trend, right? It all started with the fake antivirus and security tools. Possibly you could have seen the images like messages like, your PC is infected. Download this tool to remove the infection, right? That will be some unknown name, right? A PC, virus remover, malware remover, something like that, right? I have shown some examples here. Go to next slide. Sorry about that. Next slide. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about, rogue antivirus, right? It all started from the fake antivirus, rogue antivirus, it's all same. So it will show messages like your PC is infected. All of a sudden, you will see that message, your PC is infected. So click this link to download the tool. I will remove this infection for you, right? But if you click and download, you are done. You will be infected with some ransomware. This thing, it will download something and it will encrypt or do whatever it is supposed to do, and then it will be there. It used to be pretty common few years back, still exists, but not very prevalent as earlier. And we need to be mindful and caution about such things, right? So all of a sudden, if you see any messages that this is your system is infected, click here to download the removal tool. So please don't click such any clicks, right? It will be infected. So please, don't click. 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 So please, don't cli anything you download, any messages that you come across during your browsing time or whatever, don't click or don't download anything unless it is coming from the known source, unless you absolutely know, right? For example, McAfee shows up that, or some known brand, you have a McAfee software as an antivirus or so forth or whatever, right? And that throws up, then you know that, I am using that, and it is giving some message, just double check that, and then you click on the link. That also mostly they won't throw like that, any genuine companies won't give such messages, suspicious kind of messages, they won't do it, right? All this happens only, when rogue softwares and rogue antivirus packages only give such messages, such alarming messages. Go to next slide. Okay, it is available for PCs, and it is available for Android phones also. And Android phones also as a equally, affected like PCs. iPhone is little bit okay, but Android phones, you need to be very mindful about the malware infections and ransomware. So, go to the next slide. Okay, locker ransomware. So we earlier saw the examples, same thing, your computer will be locked, and then you need a decryption key to unlock your computer. Next slide. For Android.
There was one question. Do you need password protection for encryption? I mean, I'm not sure if that was answered.
You need what? Password
protection for encryption.
I didn't get the question right. Password protection.
Asha, can you please tell us what exactly you want to ask?
Yeah, thank you for taking up that. Actually, like I keep on sending a lot of emails which are related to exam, like just now I was doing it, and then they say send password protected. So is it that every message that we send, there is a need for the password so that it's only the receiver gets the message and others don't have access to it, like?
Correct. Yeah. So in any such confidential messages that you send, any attachment that you send, right? It is always a good practice to, protect with the password and send it, right? And then the other person knows the password. So it is the same like, encryption, decryption, right? It's the same concept, right? I mean, they need to know the password. Yeah, that's about it. It's always a good practice, but you don't have to do it for each and every email. But, important email, critical emails, confidential emails, sending some attachments, those things you can do. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need the next slide?
Yeah, please. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. Okay. So crypto ransomware is the same as encryption ransomware. There is no difference. It is encrypting the critical files, and then you need a decryption key. So it's the same thing. Yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Mr. Shankar, can you be a little bit more louder?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Is it better? Any better? Is it better?
Yeah, if you have a mic, you can probably get it closer to your mouth. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the ransomware as a service, as I mentioned, that is a current trend, right? As mentioned, you can rent when needed. It's a simple pay as you go model. You pay as you use, right? Very easy to procure, very easy to use. The hacker will give you all the support, and he will get all the support like our normal software as a service model, right? Like purchasing a software from the internet or surface net, whatever the support you are getting from the vendor, similar type of support will be given for the ransomware as a service also, right? I'll show you an example if you go to next slide. So this is a sample message. This is how it is, ransomware as a service.
Mr. Shankar, really not very clear. Your voice, please. I mean, I think you need to, yeah.
Is it better? Any better?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. So I was talking about ransomware as a service, which is a current trend. It is very prevalent currently. It is nothing but a pay-as-you-go model, meaning as on when we use, you pay, right? Only the payment will be based on your usage, right? So that becomes very affordable for people, for the hackers, and very easy to procure and use. Like how we purchase uh, the softwares or application or subscription from the internet. Very similar concept, right? And you get all the support, necessary support from the person who is hosting the ransom as a service, website. He will give all the support that hacker wants for him to be successful. Right? That is what it shows. Go to next slide. Okay, so this is what it is. It's basically, you get support in all languages, localized languages. Now you can pick and choose which language you want in support. So that is what it says. Go to next one. Okay, so let's see how it works, right? We'll take one example, which is the social engineering that typically happens for consumers, right? What happens, right? So when attacker sends the email, that is how it starts, right? You get a spam email or you get a phishing email or something of that sort, right? So you need to have an anti-spam, which is basically, let's say, it's not as effective as it is. There will be multiple, reputation-based rules will be there in the anti-spam solution. Let's say that all the rules failed and the spam sneaks into the inbox. It lands into the inbox, and you have something called invoice.doc, right, which is a malicious document as an attachment, right? So you have this document, and then consumer, it will be very attractive name, either payment.doc, something related to finance, invoice, something like that, right? So that it is easy for people to understand, and then they open it, by curiosity, out of curiosity, right? Or the gift or something like that. All right. So when you open it, actually the antivirus has to trigger, right? When you access a malicious file, immediately antivirus has to trigger, right? Let's say if the consumer is having a bad antivirus or a free antivirus, things that it may not work as expected, antivirus will not detect it, and then it will get the malicious document will be opened, and it will open in a Microsoft Word since it is a doc file, and let's say user enables the macros in the Word. There is something called enable macros. It is usually by default it will be enabled, right? And then it will create a run in the batch file, right, which is the hacker will do, and it will run a script, right, and it will download a binary, right? It will download a binary. When it download a binary, it will connect to one more server to download a binary, right? That server is a malicious server, right? So your antivirus software should be having a web filtering mechanism, which is when there is a download happens, or it is something like a web filtering application like Site Advisor. I think we have seen last time. I will show you some Site Advisor software. There are multiple tools like that. So that will basically what it does is when when the system or when you or someone tries to reach out to some malicious website or malicious URL to download something, it will block, right? It will have a reputation database of what is good and what is not good, right? So here, let's say you don't have that, the web filtering also failed, and then you download it. Antivirus has to kick in when you download it into your desk. Let's assume that also fails, and then the fail.exe, which is a ransomware, which will be, you run that, right? When you run that ransomware, it basically it will get the encryption, and you will it will try to encrypt some certain files, whatever it is critical. It will look at it and then it will encrypt the data and it will show the copy of the ransom note to you. Right? You have to pay so much to provide the decryption key. So this is how it typically works in the consumer world. That is why all the red marks, all our protection mechanism, which people need to be aware of and enable it and make sure that it is properly typically a good one, right? Whatever that good means, typically a good antivirus, good web filtering software, good anti-spam. Nowadays, all that comes in a single package. It is not that earlier it used to be different packages. Now everything comes into a single package. You can just buy it and start using that. Okay. Any questions on this one? Any questions?
What are the ways in which one can, without having to pay a ransom, resolve it?
We'll come to that. Next two slides are only about that. Okay, so once it is infected, this is what happens. This is something like the Word document. When you encryption happens, this is a kind of message it shows. This one. Go to the next slide. Okay, so mitigation strategies, right? So what are the things that you can do to ensure that this doesn't happen, right? Of course, you need to have awareness, number one, right? You need to be aware that something like this is happening. We need to be mindful about what we are doing. We should not be clicking anything from unknown sources. We should not be downloading anything from unknown sources. All that is still there, right? And you need to use some good antivirus software that whatever that means, right? I don't want to suggest any brand, that whatever you think that is suitable for you, you can buy that and then you can use it. As I said, pretty much most of the popular ones, works very similar. It is not going to be very different. Each one will be very, very different, right? Let's say Symantec or Norton or McAfee or Avast or Sophos, or you take anything. Now all these are pretty big company, has been there for last 30-40 years. They have enough intelligence, they have enough research. So any good well-known brand is something you can decide and use as your antivirus software, right? And then apart from that, keep your softwares and OS up to date. Windows, all that. It is all auto update now. All your OSs and this thing. So make sure that you update it and patch it as on when any critical security patches they release. And another thing you can do is you can also enable the file extensions, right? So that what does it mean is, there is something called showing file extension. I have given the steps there, which basically you can easily identify a potentially harmful files. For example, the file can be named as document.pdf, right? But full extension can be document.pdf.exe, right? Exe is an executable file. That means, it is by name of it, that, so there is something suspicious. It is not .pdf extension, it is .exe extension, right? So it is likely to be malicious. It indicates that it is executable file, not a PDF file. Similarly, you can, PDF, I am just giving it as example. You can say document.doc, right? Doc is the typical Microsoft Word format, right? It can be a doc or it can be a .doc.exe, right? So it's good to check the file that you are using, what is the actual extension for the file. So this is how you can enable it, and given the steps how to do that. You can do that in your Windows.
Mr. Shankar, can't hear you again.
Okay.
I mean, you're like fading away. You just need to talk into the microphone, please.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm having my headphones. So
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's much better now.
Okay.
There's a question here, how to identify that antivirus software is genuine?
It is, I mean, how to identify antivirus software as is, it's just a known software, known in the industry, who has been in the industry for a long time, right? Whichever is a popular one that, you can search in the internet, what is the best antivirus tool that you can use, you can just, use that, It can be, like I said, right? These names, what I have mentioned, McAfee, Norton, Sophos, CrowdStrike, not CrowdStrike is not this one, right? Kaspersky. These companies, you can see, the top antivirus packages. If you put it in the Google, you will get it, right? Any of this is good, right? Don't go for a free one. There are free ones also. Even Microsoft Windows is giving a free one, right? But generally, it is always preferable to get a good one, which is not very expensive. It is usually it costs about $30 to $40 per year. I think per year subscription. It is worth subscribing to it and then buy it and then use it. So you can just get it from there. There is nothing. It is not such a difficult thing to identify which one to use. It's pretty easily available information in the internet.
So why I asked this question was that in the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that the messages pop up for purchase of software and they can be ransomware.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so that is why I asked this question.
Yeah.
And
No, I
those
get that.
messages can be from McAfee, Norton. So
Yeah.
that is
No,
why I asked this
yeah.
question whether.
I know. So what happens is, usually McAfee or any other popular antivirus don't show up like that. So the messages normally you see from the fake antivirus packages don't have any brand names as well. So what it does is it will just show virus remover. Okay, so that is the name of that, virus remover. Then malware fix, something like that. Something it is very obvious that you will be curious to click yes, right? Download it, right? There won't be any brand associated with it. It will not show as a McAfee or something like that.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. It will be very obvious, and it will say, "I am a PC fixer," or "I am a virus remover," something like that. That is how it shows, right? You can make out with a very obvious message, and all of the sudden it shows up from nowhere, right? Generally, that doesn't happen if you use a traditional, software from McAfee or any such companies. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So next one is, uninstalled remote desktop. It just reduces the attack surface. A remote desktop is nothing but, people use this remote desktop service to connect it to your system remotely. Okay. So they can reach to your system in case if you are connected, or the remote desktop is connected, they will get access, and they exactly know what all the critical files, and they can plan and they can attack, right? So disable uh, remote desktop. I have given steps to do that. It is also a very common target for ransomware attacks. So disabling or uninstalling the remote desktop tool, it reduces the potential entry points for the attackers. Right? The reason we are having the remote desktop is, in case if your system is functioning, genuine problem, having any genuine problem, that someone wants to investigate what is going on in your system, people can connect it remotely, and then they can look at your system remotely and then see what is going on in your system, right? And that is something that you want to troubleshoot, right? Similarly, if you want to use it for malicious purposes, some hacker can get into your system and see what you are doing, and then he can decide whatever he wants to do it with your system. Okay. Go to next slide. Okay, so this one is it's just more of a FAI, ransomware prevention and recovery, in a single slide by a UK government agency. Pretty self-explanatory. I thought it will be useful. You can go through it. Uh, what you need to do, and then most important thing is you need to take a backup. I forgot to talk about that in the earlier one. It is always good to take a backup of your critical files in an external hard disk. Sorry. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so make sure you take a periodical backup of your critical files in your external hard drive, right? So that way, even if something happens, some ransomware attack happened, and if he, target some critical files, and if he encrypts it, you can simply ignore them, and you can say, you can just recover it from your backup, right? So just have a practice of having one external hard disk, right? Just you can just keep throwing stuff into some critical. Now you don't have to take a backup of your entire system. All your critical files. You can decide 4 or 5 folders. You are keeping all your important files and photos and whatnot, right? So those things, just weekly have a habit of keep pushing it, right? Keep pushing it to the external hard disk, so that even if something happens, you can easily recover. You don't have to depend on hacker to provide anything. Okay, and so that is what it is. Other than that, it is, you can just go through it. It is pretty self-explanatory. Just I thought it will be useful for everyone, so that I had this slide. Any questions? That's all I have.
Anyone has any questions? You can unmute and ask.
Who's the authority we have to apply to if you feel you have got ransomware or something like, I mean, if your computer is infected?
No, I mean, you don't have to reach out to anyone. So one is, there are two things you can do. One, like I said, just always be prepared, how to recover it if something happens, right? Let's say if you are not prepared, or if you are for some reason you don't have a backup and things like that, you can always reach out to the vendor. Let's say you are using, McAfee or Sophos, right? You can reach out to the vendor and say that, I got impacted with ransomware, can you help me in recovering from the situation, right? In case, if you want, right? But again, it depends, they can say that, okay, I can't do much about it, you decide, because nothing much they can do also, because end of the day, they need to have an encryption key to decrypt it, right? Decryption key to decrypt it, whatever they have encrypted, right? So even they can't do much about it, but you can always ask, just ask. That's all, otherwise you need to decide whether you want to pay or you want to just, let go of those files. As a consumer, I'm saying, right? If it is a business, there is a whole lot of process involved, you need to, inform the authorities, you need to inform the certain regulatory authorities, and so on and so forth. Just a FYI, and just as for the reporting purposes. End of the day, you need to decide what you want to do.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, please? Okay, I think then we can close the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Shankar. Thank you very much for the lovely session and explaining us all about ransomware. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thanks everyone who attended.
Thanks everyone. Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
very much.
opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.